What's your take on liver pills?
Oh, they can be a really convenient way to consume one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet, which is liver. I would say that liver is the type of food that when we incorporate it into our regular diets, it's so nutrient dense, it applies so much vitamins and minerals and other like really cool nutrients like coenzyme Q10 that it earns a lot of wiggle room for quality of life foods, for like the foods that don't have a lot of nutrition but supply me a lot of joy, the types of foods that make overall healthy eating patterns like easy to sustain, right? And if it's not sustainable, it's not beneficial. If you can't stick to it, then it's not a healthy eating pattern. So liver can be a really beneficial food to include, but it's not necessary. It's not like the only way to be a nutrivore and get all of the nutrients our bodies need from the foods we eat. You absolutely can meet that, bar without incorporating organ meat or even shellfish, which is the closest food nutritionally to liver, would be something like oysters or mussels or clams. So, that being said, we don't have to eat liver, but if we do want to incorporate it and get that, that extra wiggle room for foods that we love, but that aren't objectively nutrient dense, then liver pills can be a great way to do that. I think there's a couple of important things to know if you're going to consume liver pills. First is that the fresh equivalent for most of these adds up to 2 to 4 ounces over the course of a week. So it's typical for a dose of liver pills to be 4 to 6 pills. Typically, that would add up to half a serving to a whole serving over a full week, depending on the brand, but that's sort of like typical among the options that I'm familiar with. So just a sense like that's think about the cost ratio of that. So it's much more expensive than getting a serving of liver to have liver pills, but also maybe more accessible in terms of the taste experience, and that might be worth it for you. The other thing to keep in mind is that it is possible to overdo liver. Liver is one of those foods that once you get into the like serving per day range, but depending on the overall content of your diet, so that threshold might be lower for some people, you can end up with too much copper and too much vitamin A. And that can cause copper toxicity and hypervitaminosis A, vitamin A toxicity. So those are things to keep in mind. It can be a little bit easy to overdo the pills because they're just so easy to take. Grab a handful and swallow them with some water. So just understanding that liver is a food that while it is very nutrient dense and can earn lots of wiggle room for quality of life foods, is also a food to consume in moderation because it's so nutrient dense that we can actually hit too much of certain nutrients.